My name is Mina Ferrante, or Mina Ho Ferrante. I grew up in Vietnam, and after the Vietnam War ended, like 1975. I grew up in the war, like post-war, and poverty, hardly anything to eat. But the only thing that my family still keep is the art. We didn't have anything. We hardly have even pencil and paper. But when we do, I cherish it and I draw. I make comic book for my brother and sister, and I was only like 7, you know. My grandma was an artist. She was the first female professional artist in Vietnam. I mean, like with a studio and make a living. She support the family of 12 by just drawing. She came from a very artistic family. Her father was the artist for the king at his time. And then her brothers, all her 3 brothers were artists. So when her father died when she was only 4, her brothers like raised her up and teach her all the art knowledge. And back then they have magazine, like French magazines. So she taught herself by reading magazines, and the brother read her. And by the time she was 16, she has her first exhibition. And according to the family history, Charlie Chaplin came to her exhibition when she was 19. Yeah, in Hue, Vietnam. But fast forward to 1975, after the war, we ran because my dad was very anti-communist. Because, well, obviously, there's the reason why, because my dad's parents was executed by the communist government from being landowners. They own land in 1950s. During the year 1950, 1952, they trial the landlord, they killed them, and they took over the wealth. So that's why my dad was having that, anger and hatred to the regime. So the whole life, he was so anti-communist. So when the war ended, of course, he had to run. So we moved all the way to the very edge of the country, and my dad found a way to cross the ocean and go to Thailand and go to America, which was 1980. But the whole family, very long story. I had it all in my book, but we were left behind, which I was very, in a way, I was happy to have that 10 years left behind Vietnam. Life was really hard. We hardly have anything to eat or to wear, but we have a lot of experience. I have a lot of skill, I would train in art, music, and even though we didn't have enough money to eat, my mom always put enough money for us to have classes in English, writing, art, photography, music, all kind of things. So 10 years behind in Vietnam, I became an artist, and I had my own exhibition when I was 21. So one of the newspaper in Saigon called me the youngest artist that have solo ever in Vietnam. She was one of my inspiration in my life. She, well, of course, she was the daughter of my grandma, right? A great artist. She always loved art and loved music, and she went to school and she became a teacher who taught literature in Vietnam. So she loved literature and everything that related to art. And she believed that, she always tell us, it's easy to do skill like mop the floor or doing skill, like physical skill. But not a lot of people can draw. Not a lot of people can make music. So I want you to train yourself on that. And she said that she saw us having that ability or talents. So she said she doesn't want to waste it, even though back then we didn't have a house to be. We like tripping like homeless from house to house in Saigon and live on like the charity from the friends and relatives, But she she was an inspiration for us. So all of us always play guitar, play whatever we can, right? So when 10 years later, so my dad was able to sponsor us over. So she bought ticket and he bought ticket and he brought us over here. So as soon as we got here, my dad said, well, I was eager to make money because I was already 22 or 22 already, right? I wanted to have money. I wanted to buy clothes. I wanted to, And then he said that, I know you want to make money. And we found a job at Macy's that pay us $6.50, I think, like a minimum wage. But I was so happy. And he said, no, I want you to go back to school because he said, I am like 55, almost 60, and I'm still going to school forward my, to earn my master degree in computer science. So every day he went to work full time and then he went to college and worked on homework until midnight. So we had no choice. We had to go to school. So I went to school, studied English. My English was like, I hardly can hear or can speak, can understand anything. So 3 years in community college, study English again. And then another influence me was my brother who came here with my dad. So he was here since he was 12. He said that, look at me, learn from my mistake. Everybody told me to be an engineer because it's easy to make money. So he went to school, graduated as an engineer, but then he said, I wanted to kill myself every morning, get up to get there. So he hated it. So he went back to school and be an artist. He graduated as advertising design. So he's doing good now. He is very good. He's very talented. So I heard that and I'm so happy. I said, okay, if I can work for Macy's and be an artist, then I'm fine, right? I'm happy with that. So I went to school in Academy of Art College in San Francisco. And then by the end of the school, it's very good school. I worked very hard, Now I a little bit regret. I didn't go out. I didn't play. I didn't party like my kids nowadays. Just work from morning till like 2:00 in the midnight, work on my portfolio. And then by the end of the school year, the third year, Disney came and they looked at the portfolio and they picked me out of the school. They picked 2%, right? And then out of the whole country and France and Canada, they picked about 32 people. Put in the boot camp. They call it boot camp. They train us from morning to night. In Monterey, it was a boot camp. It's like the army place. So we live in the barrack and they work on animation from morning to night. It was really cool. And after that, they picked 3 out of 30 of us to give a scholarship and a job. So I was one of them. So I got a job right after I graduated and I moved down here from San Francisco. And I was happily working until I had my kids, And I wasn't happy anymore. When I was working and I'm thinking of my kids at home, I wasn't happy. I said, why the hell am I, have what kid for? Why did the lady, the babysitter play with them in the park and I have to be here and doing, even though I love my job, right? So I quit when I had the 2 children. Then I quit. I just stay home. So for the first 10 years of my motherhood, all I did was like follow them everywhere, to the park, to the library. And then when they went to school, I went to school with them. I assisted the teacher. I taught. I opened class like art club, photography class for free, right? Just to help out and to be with them at school. And then when they get to the 5th grade, they said, Mom, we don't want you to follow us to middle school.
We don't want you.
We don't want to. And by by then the urge to paint and draw is really killing me. It it calling me out. I have to paint, I have to draw. So when the last one went to middle school, I was so happy though. I start to go back to full-time drawing and painting. And then I rebuilt my career in a different way. I was working for Disney before, but now I rebuild my career as a fine art artist. I paint, I send my artwork to galleries, and I post my art on Instagram or Facebook. So I have clients. I mean, I would say, what would you call patrons or collectors?
Yeah, patrons.
Yeah, collectors.
Yeah,
I have a list of collectors, which is very nice, And I think I worked really hard, and it's not like I can just do art. I wish I could do that, but I think most of my time is still my family, still grocery cleaning and cooking, and I get to do art when everything is done, and I get to go to my man cave, my woman cave, and do art. I look at myself and ask me, what is the most important in my life? I think the thing that makes me happy most would be being able to help others, you know. So if I could be, and I involve a lot of charities and volunteers, I'm happy when I become useful to the society. And the utmost is useful to my kids, I'm happy. And the second is, of course, art. It's my therapy. There's time up and down. There was time that, after the war, a lot of people give up. A lot of people, kill themselves. But we survive because of the art. It's a big therapy. So it's a therapy for myself and a therapy for my student. Oh, I forgot that. I started teaching like about 10 years ago. So now I have art class in my backyard. Most of my students, of course, they come to learn the skill, but they also come as an art therapy. They come and share with peers, share with me, and they openly talk about things that disturb them. Even mental health. Mental health is a subject that's very popular in my class. We open, no judging. So they talk about their mental health in my class as if they talk about toothache or, have a headache. So they feel like they've been supported, and whatever that they talk there is safe there. Nobody judge them. They don't feel bad about themselves, and maybe they feel better when they leave. Because I also have a master's degree in history of art, and I took one semester to study art, the history of art in Vietnam, and I was impressed that the love of the art was very deep, deep, deep back then, starting like the beginning of the country, the beginning of the culture. We do art by just like grinding, the shell, grinding to make white, and then burning the bamboo to make black ink, right? And we paint on silk. So we start the art like that, like very natural. And it started with you paint a portrait of your ancestry, like your dad or your mom, so that later when they die, we have something to remember by, right? So it started from there. And then of course people want to decorate, but the love of the art is very deep, deep. And then the French start to come over to Vietnam during the 1930 something, right? And they brought the Western art. So all of a sudden the country that when my grandma opened her mind, then they soak it all in. They learn about Western art, but at the same time they was able to keep their cultural art. Then after 1975, before 1975, my grandma would say, a teacher, even though they don't have a lot of money, but they have enough to make a living, right? So a teacher would be like, go to my grandma and collect an art, or a doctor, or just not even a doctor, like a normal, like middle class, even lower than the middle class, the working class, they still come and buy an art once in a while, like original art, you know. So that's how they value the art. They don't want like draw or print a copy. They want real. And even though they're not like rich, you know, they still want an art in their wall. And like you said, in 1995, the communists took over the South and they stopped all of that because they don't want anything, everything have to be like propaganda. Everything have to teach about the love of the party, the love of the communism, the love of the leaders, right? Other than that, it's wrong. It's dirty art, right? So it was really bad for a while. So artists turn a little bit in order to make art. They have to do art that praise the war, that praise the soldiers, right? That telling story that glorify them. So it's still art, but it's totally different. And then, or you can do like thing like flowers because it doesn't, you know, or you can praise something like really traditional, like a woman, like very beautiful, like nice and sweet woman, you know, to glorify the culture. Then it's safe. So the whole decades, like a few decades, people keep painting women with like beautiful dress and sitting next to flowers. That's all we have. And then 1994, that's when Bill Clinton came back to Vietnam and opened the trade and stopped the banning, right? And that's when all the Western companies flooded in, including art. So artists got to see, you know, and the internet coming 2000, that's when it's a boom of the art. So all of a sudden, outside country, tourists come in and they bought art. It's so cheap, you know, and so bad. And then artists just like keep producing it. Like it become a wire market. They just produce it, no matter what kind of type of art or style, you know. People don't question art at this point. I mean, this was like 2000. They're just making it and it's just selling it. Now it's kind of saturated. Now people start to study and, you know, to ask why you're doing art. So some artists start to like establish their style, you know. But that's the long story put in a nutshell. My first exhibition when I did in Saigon, it was silk, like very traditional, like watercolor on silk. And I always think that was a very unique genre, the style. I wish I could do that again. Not only I don't have the silk back then, it's also when I back here, my attitude back when I got here in the 1990 was like, I don't want anything to do with my Vietnam. I want to learn. I want to learn. I want to learn. So I went to school and I sucked it all in. You know, I loved Impressionist and the Post-Impressionist. My favorite was like Gauguin, Cézanne. That's my favorite. So my direction was like kind of heading that way. I thought I would be like become a painter that way. And then I worked for Disney. And you know, when you work for Disney, every movie you're supposed to do one style. The next movie you have to retrain yourself, do another style. As an artist, you are expected to do any style that the art director wants you to do. So after a while, all the artists that work at Disney, we become like a chameleon. We can change. So if you can throw anything at me, we draw it, we paint it, that style, you know. And it become like a skill, and I enjoy it. You know, I said, oh, I get bored very quick. That's one of my weakness. I get bored, so I'm so happy that I get to change another style. And even now, when I stop working at Disney for a while, I still get bored at my painting. And I paint it, and then I said, I can't do it anymore. I switched to my style. So if you look through my website, you see like the whole lot of range. And a lot of people said, what is your style? I said, I don't know. You know, maybe my style is like multi-style. Especially nowadays, it moved. the speed of the way of our life moves so fast. And I look at the internet, the young people before the internet, all we can see is magazines and the museum, right? But now with the internet, we can see like so many people doing art. They had no name, but they were amazing, and I'm inspired by all of them. I want to do this and I want to do that. Collector, they don't like that. The collector, they want a person that have just that style because they want you documented. But they have to take it the way I am. I think as an artist, or maybe I should speak for myself, I'm a channel. I'm channeling the beauty that I see, and I put down in a way that I introduce people that they don't do art so they can see, Sometimes they don't see the colors, sometimes they don't see the way it looks, But the artist capture it and put on the canvas to show. Just like when I read a poem, I said, how come I never thought of that? But then this poem, like, bring it out from me, So the poet is a channel to bring the feeling out using words. So I think I am a channel to bring colors, images, to put down on the surface for people to see what I see. I try not to touch the political because right now it's so crazy, right? If people can kill each other, or father and daughter, it's crazy. But I get really touched by like the whole 2025. I had an exhibition, like the whole 2024. I worked toward my exhibition in the spring of 2025. I was full of energy, and I make up like at least 15 big painting, and I had a show in Saigon in March 2025. And then I came back here. I was full of energy. I was so excited to start over, another set. And then all the political start happen. Remember that mid 2025, a lot of things protested, and then the ice, it affect me. All of a sudden, I feel so numb. I feel like I could not do anything. I feel like I don't feel a purpose just to paint something because I see so much painful out there, right? So what I did, all of a sudden it feels so vain. And I feel touched by that. And then by the end of 2025, all of a sudden I did not stop, even though I felt like that, right? I did not stop painting, but I draw. And I start drawing. And then when I draw a few portraits, and I said, it gave me an idea. So now I have a project. I call right now, I don't know the final title would be, but right now I call We Are the Colors, or We Are the Colors, I think. The Color of Us. Color. So the project would be 6 women, female. It would start from young to old, like different ages and different ethnic. So the youngest one would be a white Caucasian girl. And then the next one, teenager, would be an Asian girl. And the next to that, like a 20, 25 girl, is a black woman. And then it's going to be Iranian, going to be Mexican, and then it's going to be Indian American. So all the colors of all the women, different age. Because I get touched by the way that the immigrant get treated. But I want to tell people, hey, look, we are the colors and we are human and we are just like everybody else. Like it could be a girl, it could be your grandma, it could be your friend around the neighborhood. We have different colors, but we're here, we're human. My real Vietnamese name is Ho Mong Nhã Uyển. So Ho in Vietnamese, in Vietnam, we put the last name first. So Ho is my last name. Mong is my middle name. It's repeated from my grandma because we all want to have a piece of my grandma, passing on. So that's the middle name of my grandma. And Nhã Uyển, like I said, my mom was like very into literature. So all the name has meanings. My meaning is like a beautiful garden of poet. Yeah, so it's such a beautiful name, but I cannot use it here. People cannot say it, it's oh, okay, so no, it doesn't sound pretty anymore. So in Vietnam, most of the kids have nicknames. So my nickname is supposed to be Mina. So easy for me. I use it as when I come over here, I change my name. I change to Mina. But it sounds natural because that's what my family call me at home anyway. I married my husband. He has the root of Italian. When I first moved here to Burbank, I was from up north, San Francisco, right? A lot of hill and slope and a lot of mountain and then, hiking and snow and within like a range of half an hour. When I first come here, I said, oh my God, it's so flat for me. It's so flat and everything is the same. Every square block the same. I went insane for the first 2 years. And I always came back up north, to do hiking and do camping with my family. But then you know what? It grew on me, especially when I had kids. I appreciate so much. I love the libraries, the park. Every neighborhood have a beautiful park. And I was lucky I live in that Rancho area. I can walk the kids around even midnight, biking, not a lot of traffic in that area. I love it so much. I moved here for my job in 1998. So almost 30 years.
Oh, that's a long time.
Yeah, and I lived in that area my son was, so 20 years. And even though Burbank changed a lot the past 10 years, right? But for me, if you compare to around, it's still like a village. And most of them are still middle class, it's not like drastic or not too poor. It kind of like Pleasantville kind of thing, It's I like it a lot. And though compared to the middle class in other culture, middle class in Burbank, when they decorate the house, they would go to Hobby Lobby and buy a print. Hardly anyone would commission an artist or go to the show. They would say, "Oh, beautiful," but hardly anyone buy it. Most of my client collector is somewhere else or other countries. Once in a while, I mean, like 20% is American, but 80% is different culture. I mean, even Mexico's people are poor; they still buy art. It's a different, because I think we have to fix the house first, fix the bathroom first, fix the your ADU first before you can buy original art. That's what I think. I look at the Burbank Art Association. I joined, I think, 15 years ago. It was a small group, just like maybe 15 or 20, But now it's grown. I don't know how many right now, but it's a lot. I can tell by in the old day when we turn in our painting, we can turn 2 or 3 painting to fill up that Betsy Loot. But now we only can put in 1 in order to show in that, and the size have to be smaller. It can't be huge. So that showed that our, the numbers have at least triple. And not only we have Burbank Art Association, we have 2 more coming out from since then. So people are more aware, right? And spend more time, or what do you say? They invest more in creating art, even though they know that not a lot of people buy. They still invest a lot of. The thing that I'm still very impressed is I have a lot of students. So parents still want to invest in art, which is great. Of course, Burbank people too, right? They have they can afford to give their children some art class, some music class, some sport class, or dance class. They fill the schedule with art and music and stuff. I think that's very nice because especially after the COVID, I think art become very essential. The kids cannot take that. You know, the COVID has affected them so much. My children got affected really bad, and my student too. So they turn to art as a healing. I think throughout my history of my personal art, sometimes each era I have one that close to my heart. So the era when I first got to America, that's one like newcomer or lost and then wondering, am I gonna make it? Like lonely because I made money in Vietnam by that time, right? I established my career and come over here, I had none. I had no client, nothing. Start over again. That was I call it depressive area. It's very lost, you know, and not sure. And then the era when I work at Disney, I was like corporate area, very very cool and very business-like. And then the era after that, with my when my children was young, I was once more time, the same thing that happened when in 1990. Again, I lost a job. I lost my identity. Just being home, clean the house all day long. I got lost. I was lost. Even though I love them, but I question who I am, you know, who I was. It's like, am I like this? 10 years was a long time to feel like that. So doing that, I create some art that very deep, very painful. You know, you can see like, if you look at my website, you see that painting, like a woman with a thorn going through the person, to the heart, and then, but she bloomed into flowers. So the meaning is, well, I have to go through this, all the pain, right? I lost myself, but through that loss, I bloom flowers. Those are my children, right? So that is that era. And then era right now is I'm trying to grow my career as an artist, try to compete with AI, try to compete with the young people, like you know, like it's always something. So that last year I make a painting that I feel very close to myself. It's a girl. Maybe I already put in my website. It's a girl that's sitting by the window, and outside, like everything else,
Yeah, I've seen that.
like just drawing, right?
Yeah.
But the window is dreaming. So she just think about the future and maybe tomorrow bring her happiness. But she just like present is not important anymore, right? Because you already established, kids are already big, right? And established me here mean like you have a house, you have, enough food on the table. But now what's next for my career? So that is my future. Contemplate about it.